The community I've chosen to discuss is the homeless population living in Los Angeles, California. This community is defined as any individual that does not have a formal residence. The homeless community cannot be generalized to fit a singular race, sex, or socioeconomic status. Some may be under the influence of drugs and/or alcohol, while others may not be. The Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority estimates that there are 50,000 to 60,000 individuals whom do not have a home in 2019. 27% can be found in central Los Angeles and 16% in South Los Angeles. 31% of the population is female. 16% are physically disabled. 25% suffer from significant mental disabilities. 9% are minors, and 15% suffer from substance abuse disorders. This chart shows us how the number of homeless individuals in all of Los Angeles County are rapidly increasing. Just from 2018 to 2019 alone, the total of homeless has increased 11%. From 2015 to 2017, there was a significant 23% increase. This chart also shows that only approximately 20 to 30% of the homeless population is sheltered. The predominant race in the community is Black/African American, followed by Hispanics and white. In all of Los Angeles County, 34% of the community is African American, which is significantly high because they're a minority in Los Angeles County, with their total population being approximately 8%. The community's boundaries are as follows. In order to fit in the community, one must be living on the streets within the county of Los Angeles. Those that are out of this group include anybody that has a place to live, whether they live inside or outside of Los Angeles. Communities that are also out include anyone that is homeless but lives outside of Los Angeles. For example, homeless people living in San Francisco or living in Miami would be excluded. The homeless community in Los Angeles is a diverse group of people with a variety of distinctive characteristics. These individuals live in the same location and typically join together to form their communities. The homeless typically live on the streets in tents, cardboard boxes, or shelters made of any material they can find. The majority of the population is primarily male or small family units. The shared values and goals of the homeless community are reliant on survival and trust. The homeless are deprived of what's necessary to survive. Finding food, water, and shelter are an everyday challenge. Their goal is to find what's necessary for survival and to support their families. For many individuals, their goals are not to survive, but to purchase alcohol or drugs. Multiple individuals living on the streets often suffer from longer substance abuse. This is often the reason why they ended up homeless, but that is not always the case. Strong bonds are formed among the homeless, and they rely on each other in order to survive. Living on the streets, besides being difficult, is also dangerous. These areas are often victims of drug-related violence. People are protective over their loved ones and their territory and share the little they have with each other. God created all humans in His image and likeness. This concept is known as the Imago Dei. The Imago Dei is found in the homeless community in multiple ways. Individuals who live on the streets are often victims of childhood or relationship abuse, and often the homeless are able to overcome their situation and strive for a better life. The image of God exists in their strength to continue living and persevering in the toughest of situations, in this case being their lack of residence and everything that comes with it. Furthermore, the image of God exists in this community's vulnerability. The people living in these circumstances have been dehumanized to their very core, and feeling vulnerable is a direct consequence of that. Survival and lack of opportunities adversely affect the Imago Dei in this community. The homeless must find ways to survive among extreme weather conditions, lack of resources, as well as their own personal demons and struggles. These individuals are also surrounded by negative influences such as violence and substance abuse, which can dramatically reduce quality of life in this community. Most importantly, the factor that affects the Imago Dei is the stigma placed on the homeless community by the general public. This completely devalues the dignity and worth of every individual that is homeless, therefore affecting the Imago Dei. The homeless community struggles to survive due to insufficient food, water, and shelter. In order to eat, they typically beg for food, look through trash, steal and drink whatever they can find, even if it's unclean water. Their sanitary conditions are an extensive struggle for the community. They're not allowed in public facilities and do not have means to properly clean and bathe themselves. Their inability to care for themselves often leads to malnutrition, diseases, infections, and often death. Violence is a common problem for the community. There is theft among the homeless and even fights over leadership. Multiple homeless individuals are involved in highly addictive drugs and substances. This leads to drug violence, robbery, and death. Not everyone who is homeless struggles with drug addiction. Many are sick, mentally incapacitated, leaving abusive relationships, and multiple other scenarios that must be accounted for. We can help the homeless community by participating in volunteer programs and donating to reputable charities who assist financially struggling communities. Taking the time out of our busy days to help at food drives and other events increases our awareness and makes an impact in their lives. Even simply taking the time to research what's going on in the community and in our government is beneficial. Government reform would have the largest impact on helping the homeless communities. Congress has multiple bills in progress that will hopefully decrease the number of homeless individuals and will hopefully reform our housing system. Federal funding of homelessness programs and affordable housing have been the two most impactful efforts by the government to aid those on the street.